Welcome back to the Seeing Red MMA podcast. Here, I am your host, the MMA Shaman. Just kidding, my name is Dustin. This week, we got a great fight night ahead of us here. Jared Cannonier taking on Marvin Vettori in your main event. That'll be a 5-round middleweight bout here, scheduled at the Apex. Also got some other good fights on the card as well, too, so let's go over them here. Starting with the main event there. Jared Cannonier versus Marvin Vettori. Both guys who have fought Izzy for the title there, who are looking to get back in the win streak column there in order to be a candidate to fight. So this is kind of almost like a title eliminator, but we already know that Duplessis versus Robert Whittaker are fighting for the title shot. That is going to be going on more than likely later this year in July there. So Duplessis versus Robert Whittaker is probably going to be your real title eliminator. Loser of that will probably fight whoever is on this card, which I hope Duplessis loses against Whittaker there, because there's two fresh matchups between Vettori or Cannonier for whoever loses this Saturday or wins this Saturday, better matter of fact. But let me kind of readjust this here. There we go. Now I'm a little bit more centered. Thank you for waiting. But, Marvin Vettori, we all know Marvin Vettori for being the guy from the Goonies. Grinder, last time he was in the octagon, he was gifted a split decision over Roman Dolidze, which a lot of people, including myself, thought he lost that fight. But Jared Cannonier, also coming off of a similar win, maybe not as an exciting of a win, but over Sean Strickland in December of last year. So both of them are coming off for Jared Cannonier, semi-controversial. I had that one going for Cannonier, but for Vettori, I definitely had Dolidze winning that fight there, but what are you going to do? I would say it's obvious that Jared Cannonier probably has the striking advantage, especially when it comes to the heavier hands, just being able to mix it up with his kicks, also mixing in his punches as well, too. Rather than Marvin Vettori is more of a grinder up against the fence. He's got decent striking as well, too. I would say more of his edge is going to go into the cardio department, so we'll see how this plays out. I don't see anybody getting finished in this fight, especially I don't think Cannonier is able to put away Marvin Vettori. We've seen Marvin Vettori take some just hellacious shots and just keep coming forward. I think Vettori's chin is just way too strong to crumble under the pressure of Cannonier, but who knows? Maybe Cannonier might be able to land something very significant and get him out of there before the bout is over. But either way, if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to lean towards Cannonier in this one. He is an underdog at the plus 140 here. I might be a little biased since he is training out here at the MMA lab in Phoenix, Arizona. And Vettori's cool. Bumped into him once. He's kind of a cool guy. But, in this kind of setting here, it's really kind of make it or break it for both these guys, because it's very rare in your UFC run you get two title shot opportunities, so that's what these guys are fighting for, is their second opportunity at the belt. And more than likely their second opportunity, Marvin Vettori's third, if he was to pull it off against Israel Adesanya, because let's be real. Do we think Whittaker's going to get it done in the third fight with Adesanya? Probably not. We definitely don't think Duplessis is going to get it done against Whittaker or against, Whittaker and Adesanya, because Duplessis just fucking sucks. But, yeah, that's your main event here. Moving on to your co-main event, you got Arman Tsarukyan versus Joaquin Silva. I would have called him Joaquin, but I guess it's Joaquim because there's an M there. No odds on this one here, but number 8 versus an unranked lightweight. I believe Joaquin is coming in on short notice in this one, if I believe. I think it was supposed to be somebody else for Tsarukyan, but regardless of that, I'm riding with Tsarukyan. He's very well-rounded. He's probably one of the most underrated lightweights right now. 19-3. He's got the win over Ismagulov, where he just basically, from start to finish, was just winning that entire fight there. But, Tsarukyan is kind of one of those guys. They just put him in the UFC game, so they must think highly of him in order to do that, especially for, the lightweight division, because we already know how stacked that division is, and you want to have the most stacked guys in your video game. But as far as sizing here, 5'7" to 5'8". Joaquin's a little bit taller. Reach actually goes to Tsarukyan with 72.5-inch reach. They have the same exact leg reach. pretty, no, not similar records, 12-4 or 12-4 for Joaquim and 19-3. So, I mean, I just think Saryukin's on his way to becoming a real contender in the lightweight division. He's super young. He's hungry. He's fought in the guys of like Gamrot and whatnot, and arguably beat Gamrot in some people's eyes as well too. So, I would expect that one to probably go the distance, if not get a submission win in the third round or in the second round for Saryuki in there. But yeah, it's a good fight for him just to kind of get more notoriety in his name under his belt. Next fight, we got Armen Petrosyan taking on Christian Leroy Duncan. We know Petrosyan from the Contender Series here. I mean, he hasn't really shown his full potential from what we saw on the Contender Series. He's currently 8-2, 6'3" though, so he is a big middleweight. But so is Duncan. I mean, Duncan's 8-0 with a height of 6'2". I mean, fighting out of Russia for Petrosyan, fighting out of United Kingdom, England for Leroy Duncan. Got to be honest, I don't know much or if anything about Christian Leroy Duncan, so I'm going to stay away from this one here because every time I lean towards the guy I know a lot about, they end up probably losing. So, yeah, we'll keep this one kind of just plain and simple. I think this one probably does go the distance just because Petrosyan, if he was to win, I think he needs to play it safe, use his range because it does look like he has a... Nope, never mind. Wow, that is a significant reach. Jesus, so this just popped up right here. Petrosyan has a 71-inch reach. Duncan has 79.5, and they're basically the same height there, so he's got really long arms. Shit. Kind of want to lean with Duncan right now. Who knows? Maybe Petrosyan gets him to the ground, but we also don't, or me, I don't know a lot about Duncan. So we'll see how that really goes. On to your next one. Pat Sabatini versus Lucas Almeida. I mean, Pat Sabatini coming off his loss to Damon Jackson there, so not a great loss, especially when you got TKO'd by Damon Jackson. No disrespect to Damon Jackson, it's just he's more of a grappler, so if you're getting TKO'd by Damon Jackson, it's a problem. There's a problem there. And Lucas Almeida, you got him right here fighting out of Brazil. He just beat Trezano. Okay, so that's a good win to have, especially a Trezano Ultimate Fighter alumni. So I kind of want to lean towards Almeida in this one. Going to be honest with you, I like Almeida in this matchup. Don't know. I mean, they're still somewhat green in the UFC there, so not much really to talk about. But I kind of want to give the edge to Almeida. So we'll see how that goes. Manuel Torres is fighting Nicholas Mota. We know Nicholas Mota here. I mean, seen him in the LFA quite a bit of times. He has that loss against Jim Miller in his debut, but he's able to get he lost by KO in his debut and then won by KO in his last fight against Van Camp. So trading knockout wins and losses there in his UFC run so far. Manuel Torres fighting out of Mexico, and we know how well Mexicans have been doing lately. Besides Aldana. Yeah. But I do like Torres in this matchup, though, because Torres, if you remember, he fought Chris Camacho and had that nasty boxing again and was able to hit him with that big, right shovel punch from the southpaw stance there that just put Camacho out. So I think I might give the hands an advantage to Torres in this one. But this is a fight I like this matchup quite a bit. Nicholas Dalby versus Muslim Salikov. I'm a big Salikov fan. Now, I mean, he's never lived up to the potential that we thought he was going to have there, but I mean, damn. He's got that win over Andre Fiallo not too long ago when they went back to New Jersey. And was it New Jersey or was it New York? It was the fight night with Yair and Brian Ortega. But, yeah, he sparked Andre Fiallo. That was nasty. I'm thinking when he fought Leach. Leach sparked him. Either way, he still sparked Andre Fiallo. But Nicholas Dalby's a grinder, man. I mean, he's 21-4, not a bad record. 5'10", 74.5-inch reach, so he's got the reach advantage against Salikov. But, I mean, Salikov with that sambo background with the grappling, the spin kicks, everything and above. I'm going to ride with Salikov on this one. I think he gets it done. Hani Barcelos is fighting Miles Johns here. Miles Johns Yeah, I mean, we know of him. I mean, he fought like the likes of Mario Batista. He did lose to Morales in his last fight, or he won against Vince Morales in his last fight. That was a decision. And then, was it a decision? Let me just fact check that. I'm just talking on my ass. Yes, unanimous decision. Lost to Castaneda, Vite Dos Santos. So he's 2-1 in his last three. So not too shabby, but we all know Hani Barcelos' last fight got sparked by the Magomedovs. It was Umar, I believe. Let me double check. But yeah, I believe Umar was the one who threw that knee right up the middle and then hit him with that left hook when his knee was planting there. So yeah, that was a nasty knockout because it didn't seem like much when he got hit, but when it landed and it counted. So yeah. I'm definitely going to give the edge to Miles. I think he probably just has a little bit better wrestling. He's maybe able to get under the shots a little bit better. I know Barcelos is known for his heavy hands there, but I think heavy hands can only play so much of a factor when you got a really good, stocky wrestler like Miles Johns there. So I got Miles Johns by decision. Oh, Jimmy Flick is fighting Alessandro Costa. Jimmy Flick, yeah, one of the most redneck names I've ever heard. Lost to Johnson in his last fight there. And then before that, beat Tyler Durden. So, I mean, and those guys just fought, and Durden just beat Johnson. So, I mean, I know MMA math doesn't always work, but, I mean, definitely looks like the grappling is in his favor for Jimmy Flick in this case there. But, I mean, at the same time, though, you're fighting a guy like Alessandro Costa. Not a bad matchup for you. I mean, he lost to Albizi. He got hit with that uppercut there, but not a bad fighter by any means. This is only his second fight in the UFC, but I mean, he got clipped kind of early into that fight as well too, so we didn't really get to see what he was really made out of. But probably got Jimmy Flick via struggle snuggle for 3 rounds. Kyung Ho Kang versus Christian Quiones. I know somewhat of Kang there. I know he's mostly a submission guy. He's got 11 wins by submission on his 18-9 record, 2 wins by knockout. And, I mean, every fight that he's had has gone the distance in the UFC. I mean, he lost to Ronnie Yaya. He beat Dana. And then he lost to Liu. Or beat Liu. It doesn't say on the website there. But he's not a bad fighter, I would say. I mean, he's up there. But Quinones, he did win TKO versus Taha. So, I mean, first fight in the UFC, you get a TKO. It's looking good, especially against the guy who goes the distance. And I don't think Kang is the type of guy to really hold you down. I think he's more of a pepper you with shots and just kind of control the cage and play it smart on the feet. So, we'll see how that goes. Carlos Hernandez, he's going to be taking on... Oh, wow, why did it just do that? Why is my computer doing this? Let me fix this. Carlos Hernandez is taking on Denis Bandar out of the Ukraine. I support you. Regardless of the helmet I am wearing, I support you. But not a great start. I mean, he's 1-1. He lost to Nascimento, beat Altamirano. So... split decision and then a submission loss there. So his trading wins so far in his UFC career. But Bandar, I know he has a loss to Gordon at flyweight there via TKO. So I'm probably going to leave towards Hernandez. Going to probably lean towards Hernandez. Zalgas Zumagulov. Yeah. The new Paddy Pimblett taking on Felipe Bunes, the Filipino, this is his UFC debut, so we'll see how he does. But Zumagulov, unfortunately, has had a rough run as of late. I mean, lost via split decision, lost via KO. So he's on a 3-fight losing streak at the moment. There are 2 of those last fights he arguably won, especially the Jeff Molina fight. And I am a Jeff Molina fan, so regardless of that, I still thought Zumagulov won that fight. But he does have fights against some pretty high competition there, like Albazi, Paiva. He actually fight Paiva at bantamweight. So, I mean, he's got some decent names under his belt there. Did he beat them all? No, not necessarily. But at the same time, you don't got to beat them all the time to get experience. Teresa Bleda versus Gabriel Fernandez. Don't care. Dan Argueta versus Ronnie Lawrence. Now, Ronnie Lawrence, we know him for being a very, very high-paced grappler. Has insane cardio, can keep going and going and going and going, and just doesn't really stop. Dan Argueta is kind of in that same category, but I wouldn't say as high-paced, as nimble, as he's athletic because he's got that nice wrestler build. He's very short and stocky, but Ronnie Lawrence is a good submission guy because he's very long and lean and can wrap those limbs around you pretty easily and get the submission. I know Ronnie Lawrence has had a bit of a rough run as of late. His last one out was a decision loss to Kakramanov. I know these guys, by the way, people watching. I know the guys. I just can't pronounce their names sometimes. So give me a break. Does hold a win over Martinez via decision and then has that TKO win over Cachero. But I know him for being a very aggressive grappler. But so is Dan Argueta. So, I mean, I remember Dan Argueta from his season of The Ultimate Fighter as well, too, that he was on. Didn't get too far into the competition. I know his last win he did beat Aguirre by decision, and then he lost to Damon Jackson by decision. So he's 1-1 so far. I know that Damon Jackson fight, I remember it. It wasn't super, I would say, it was competitive. It wasn't one-sided or anything like that. So I wouldn't expect him to necessarily be like a fluke by signing him or anything. But, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But the Ultimate Fighter runner-up, Zach Paunga, I think that's how you say it, versus Modestas Bukauskas. I'm going Paunga. I mean, he was fighting a heavyweight on the Ultimate Fighter season, got knocked out by Muhammad Usman there. But, yeah, I mean, so far he's doing great. I mean, he's got a win over Jordan Wright decision where he was just beating him up the whole time there. I mean, could have probably arguably got the finish as well, too, but for whatever reason, just wasn't able to get it done as far as the finish goes. But Modestas Bukauskas is not a bad fighter by any means, I would say. I mean, I'd say he's slightly better than Jordan Wright because Jordan Wright's god-awful. But, I mean, Bukauskas does have a win over Tyson Pedro in his last fight there, so not bad. Not bad over a guy like Tyson Pedro. He does have that horrific loss where he got his knee snapped in half by a Khalil Roundtree, so that was hard to watch. So, yeah, hopefully he bounced back from that. Does have a split decision loss against Olejniczak, but Olejniczak's now down in middleweight. Does have a loss to Jimmy Crute by TKO, and does have a KO win over Michailidis. So, I mean, he's had a decent amount of fights in the UFC. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got 5 fights in the UFC to Zach's 2, if you count the Ultimate Fighter finale. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much your entire card here. I kind of went through that kind of quick. I will say this as just a sidebar. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch the entire card there. I'll probably only get to watch the prelims because I'm having to go on a little adventure on Saturday. So I might have to rewatch the fights the next day or whatever the case is. I might have to only watch the fights that I hear about. So probably Saryukian, Cannonier, Petrosian. I'm definitely going to watch Salikov. Barcelos, I'm going to watch that one. Zumagulov, probably not, because I probably already know it's going to happen. But everything before Zumagulov and below, I'll probably be able to get to watch. So, yeah, that'll at least be a little bit nice to be able to watch those. Who knows? I might be able to catch the fights for wherever I'm going there. They might have them playing on the TV at the bar or something like that. But, yeah, that's UFC Vegas here. Don't know exactly which number it is. I think it's UFC Vegas 76. Let me see here. See what it is. UFC 76. Nope, it's UFC Vegas 75. So UFC Vegas 75 here is going to be going on in the Apex, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is Arizona, 7 p.m. for the main card, Arizona time. But that's pretty much it. Cannonier versus Marvin Vettori, guys. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at SeeingRedMMA. But other than that, guys, like I always say, you have yourself a great rest of your day. Until next time, see ya.